Interesting slew of comments from Jerod Mayo. He covered a lot of different things. I feel like that comment right there inadvertently spoke a little bit to it, as he was like, yeah, right, I'm the head coach. I can tell you what happened. I can confirm it. It's like, yes, Jerod, you are. You can talk. Bill's not here. You can do whatever you want, man. It's your team. Go for it. And there was a little bit more like that, I think, later on in the comments. But let's go ahead and start right there. Jabrill Peppers. Mego, I know you're a huge fan of his.
I am.
I like Jabrill Peppers. I think he's a perfectly good player. You have one guy, you have two guys, actually, squawking loudly about their contracts, and you go out and pay Jabrill Peppers, who I don't remember having said much of anything. He's certainly not talking the way Judon and Godchow are, right. But he gets paid. Everybody's getting paid except those two guys, it seems like. What do you think of the deal?
So I'm okay with it. I understand I might be coming from a biased perspective because I do love Jabrill Peppers. I love his play on the field. I understand he's just a safety, and for the Patriots, it feels like safeties are a dime a dozen, at least over the last several
years.
They're
like 8 million a dozen.
I know. It's like, it's just, they're not hard to come by, but I do think that he's shown himself to be a strong locker room leader. Maybe you think that doesn't matter. I think it matters when you're projected by USA Today to be a 3-win team.
Right.
You need somebody who's going to keep the competitive level up and going to do that in a way that is authentic, but also, not just like a complete hardo who turns other guys off and is annoying. So all that to say, I'm happy for it. I still don't totally understand this agenda of running it back completely with just about every guy on this team and then letting Godchow and Judon just kind of stand off to the side.
Right.
Like, you continue to set the market on your team, essentially, with what you're doing with contracts.
Your safeties are getting $20 million combined, right? Like Peppers and Duggar. Duggar's getting almost 12 a year, right? And this is 8 per, and it could get up higher. So, like, I mean, generously, we're talking $20 million for the two of those guys.
Yeah, particularly Judon. They also have the money to pay everybody.
They do.
If we're just going to retain everyone in Mego's terms, run it back, cool, then do that, right? If you're not going to be aggressive and go out and get an Ayuk or a T. Higgins or whatever it is, then fine. Then distribute this money to everyone, especially Judon. That's the one I don't really understand. I do get the age factor. I do get, there's a lot of mileage.
What do you mean? What don't you understand?
Well, it appears to me that they are re-signing a lot of younger players, which, you should do that.
Well, if they're good, you should.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't just sign them because they're young. You should sign good players.
Well, I'm just saying, the young good players on this team are getting extensions. They're getting the bag. For the Judon side of things, I do understand if the Patriots' way of thinking is he's older, there's mileage there, could be injury concerns. He's not a guy that has an injury history, but he's coming off of that, so I get it. But at the same time, we see this in this league all the time. If he's an older player, you do have some concerns, then give him a short-term deal and give him the cash he wants. I don't understand the big deal. That's where they lose me with the Judon side of things. On one side of the coin, I get he's older. Maybe they don't want a long-term extension, but my goodness gracious, this guy is a leader. He is productive. He does not have a history of injury. So give him what he wants short-term. You can afford it.
Yeah, you definitely can. And if I'm Matthew Judon, and even Devon Godchow, who I think probably has less of a case to get this big extension that he wants here,
right,
as opposed to someone like Judon, who's just been better, I'm watching this. All right, you still got money here. You're still throwing cash around. Jabrill Peppers is getting paid. You're paying all the safeties. You're paying all these guys. And me, you're one name that people know, the one jersey that's actually selling in your stupid
The red
shop.
sleeves.
The red sleeves guy is sitting here twisting in the wind, having to give these little scrums talking about, I don't really feel like this is my value. It's been weird because the Patriots have been doing it for a while. The Celtics season hasn't been over for as long, but since the Celtics season ended, they've re-signed everybody. I mean,
that's a championship team.
I know.
That makes sense.
It does.
This just
the
come on,
Patriots
guys.
are doing the exact same thing.
This does not make sense.
The Patriots are doing the same thing the Celtics are doing. It's like two teams in a mirror. They're retaining everybody, and one team you'd think won the championship too. They didn't. They won 4 games last year, and they are retaining everybody and running it back about as hard as I've ever seen anybody run it back, other than the Celtics. And the Celtics won the championship. So, what the hell is going on here?
So again, with Jabrill Peppers individually, Happy for him. I think it is worthwhile. But you can go case by case and kind of rationalize a lot of these contracts.
Yeah.
When you look at it as a whole, you've got to ask yourself, is the defense that incredible that you're bringing back all these guys? Have you solved anything on your offensive line? I was a champion for Nwenu to get the contract that he got. And now they're not even going to have him in at tackle at all, it seems like, because he doesn't fit into the AVP system.
They paid him to be a tackle and then kicked
and
him back
he's going to play guard. And now they're sitting there going, well, like, we don't really know who our tackles are yet. Meanwhile, you have Drake May just, waiting in the wings at some point to come in during the season, and you don't know what your offensive line is. All it to say, it's like you can't even point to the continuity with some of this stuff. And so it really just looks like they're turning and going, well, we got rid of Bill Belichick and we got rid of Mac Jones. And those were, that's where the rot was on the team. And that's not enough. Yeah. It's really not enough.
It's like an addition by subtraction. I look at this as maybe they do, to answer your question, feel as though this defense can be elite. So they're going to, pay and invest in that to keep that together.
Just not their elite guy. Elite guy.
That's interesting, right?
Yeah.
And then I think offensively, we're just going to see the youth movement. I mean, clearly you have your quarterback, and I just think they're just going to keep drafting kids, whether it's on the line, wide receiver, running back, whatever it is, and then they'll figure those contracts up as they come. Not saying it's the right game plan, but that's certainly what it looks like the strategy is.
Yeah, it doesn't look like, in terms of getting help from the outside anyway. Right. We saw the moves that they made. They were all in the periphery, except for maybe the one argument you can make is Jacoby Brissett, because he may be the starter week one, like it's your week one starting quarterback, but he's not really, so I don't really consider it like that. Other guys like Austin Hooper and the running back and, these other guys, I don't think there's really much there. I didn't think so at the time, and there were guys you could have had that you just didn't want to go the extra mile to try and pay. And that's a little weird, and it's very weird now considering that you still have all this cap space, even with this Peppers signing. You still, as you said, Travis, have a ton of space. Is it still the most in the NFL, or does this now cut into that? Is there some other team ahead of you?
I'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been updated.
Well,